Well, hello, Owen.
Hi.
I'm Mary, and we're so happy to have found you.
Yeah, I'm glad
And
to be here. Glad I'm still here.
why don't we start out with you telling me what dates you served on Lilac?
Makes us certain life. Uh, can't give you exact date. It was the last 3 years of the war.
So,
And I don't know what dates that would be. 45. We know that's when the war ended. And I was on there 3 years before 45. That's the dates. My hands. You see my hands? I'm, I'm not Jewish.
um, and your grandson told me that you had been a baker
Yeah.
and they made you the cook. Is that right?
Yeah,
Did,
yeah. I, I told the girls that I meet that I was a baker. And I said that C stands for cook, and the deal on the sleeve. And they said, "What's the difference between cook and baker?" And I said, "Bakers are more romantic than cooks are." They're getting me by for a little while.
That's right. Everyone likes what the baker makes. Um, so, what was your rank when you were there?
Second class petty officer. Second class petty officer. You get it.
Okay. Yes, I did. And that means you slept in the PO quarters then at the stern?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And were you always working in the galley or did you do other things? Did you help with the buoy tending when they were moving buoys?
No, I didn't. I watched them, but I didn't.
Okay. You
But
didn't have to do that dirty work.
I got to keep my hands clean.
Good. Safer that way too.
Yeah, but it
It,
was interesting to watch how they latch onto those buoys, just get them aboard or even just halfway aboard and clean them up and watch that. Just a big place, big
right.
the
I,
Venezuela buoys are located down the coast. There's a shipping channel.
right. And this was on the Delaware River.
Yes.
Were you from Oklahoma originally?
Well, originally I was from Arkansas, but most of my life was in Oklahoma.
Okay. Well, how did you get to the Coast Guard?
Oklahoma wasn't that supposed to, I was signed up. you You could, I don't know why I took the Coast Guard, but I guess it's a good thing I did. But, I really didn't have any real reason for going Coast Guard, but that was one I chose and come out in pretty good shape.
Okay. Did you stay in the Coast Guard after the war?
No, I was in for the duration.
Uh huh.
We had the regulars that's in there for a lifetime of whatever we wanted to do, but I was just after the war. When the war's over, it starts hunting ways to get rid of me.
And after the war, then what did you do?
I went back to bakery,
Uh huh. In Arkansas?
in Oklahoma.
Okay.
They had a deal where if you worked at the place before you got in the service, that, that, that place, they were obligated to hire you back. To nothing they didn't need you on the inside or the order to need somebody to run the routes. Just shifting what the bakery was making. So I worked on that for a while. and hidden between one side.
So the Coast Guard was not something that you intended to stick with. It was just for your war service. Right. Well, and do you have any memories of anything related to U-boats? I know that
Just the result, I saw that with the ship states, those U-boats that were messing up the shipping, So
yeah.
I guess the reason they didn't sink us was because that was really the location where they were. And of course, such a small ship wouldn't, so they don't think a lot of that, we were 192 feet long. Uh, but that's, that was something that had about 15 miles to do that city. Just 16 miles. The general public didn't find out about that. They didn't know how close the war came to them. But
Well, we know that she had a gun mounted on the forecastle and anti-aircraft guns on the afterhouse. And at least the plans that we have on file showed that she also had depth charge racks at the stern. Do you remember all those things?
Yeah, several ash cans, they call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the road. And they used they never used them.
Yeah. We didn't think so.
But we practiced it was wrong.
Did you?
Yeah, that's what that ship was one of it was made in the 30 or 33 somewhere along there.
Yep, 1933.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the steam power. But those piston rods are and kept one in case the other one broke down and get ready to be shipped at it. And we tried those
Well, I have a couple of other crew that I know served during the war, and I'm just going to mention the names just in case you happen to remember. There was a guy named Bill Heisig who only served for a year at the end of the war, so I don't know if you would remember him. He was a baseball player. And
baseball player.
no. And then Matthew Cambick, Matt. Okay. I just thought I'd ask just because I know they were on board around the same time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any names that you remember? Like who the captain was at the time?
One of the skippers was Dekine. I forget how you spell it. Dekine. And there was another one for a little while, but we were put in dry dock because he run the ship over waters that were not chartered for that size vessel and knocked a hole in the hull.
Oh wow, we didn't know that.
Yeah, and it took us it was down first to well, there at the mouth of the Delaware River,
Yeah, it's pretty shoaly there, I think.
huh?
A lot of shoals, very shallow spots.
It was shallow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that skipper, they put us in dry dock for 6 weeks. At Liberty every night. That was all right. Pretty good. Philadelphia Navy Yard.
Okay.
They got that base course and went back to regular duty. And I was trying to think of this guy's name. Is that all the names you have?
Yeah, I haven't found crew rosters from then, so it's just what I've gathered from talking to people like you. So those are the only ones I know of right now. At least I haven't seen the logbooks, which should be at the National Archives because of it being a government ship. But I love being able to tell the stories when people visit, and they're actually quite fascinated with the wartime, even though the ship was on active duty until 1972. And of course we explain buoy tending and supplying lighthouses, but we actually still have a lot of equipment from the World War II period. Although obviously we don't have the guns, they took those off. But the sonar is still on the bridge, which they put in for World War II. And the degaussing gear is all still there. That was an anti-mine system.
The anti-mine system is still on board.
Did you know about the destroyer that was sunk there at Cape May, New Jersey?
No, I did not.
You know where Cape May is?
Yeah.
That's where we picked up our supplies there once in a while. But they sunk this tanker back towards the Jersey coast.
Right.
And it was about 18 miles offshore. It sunk. And there was a Navy destroyer not too many miles. It was driving and let them off. And then they went out to hunt for it. And they found the submarine found him first and sunk that destroyer.
Wow.
And they only had, I think, 14 survivors. And so, I think it's not enough reason making that this one survivor left alive. And they took him back to Cape May to celebrate, his still being there.
Yeah.
And the big story for recognition.
Yes. Well, if you know about this, was Lilac called to help?
Was Lilac called to help?
Oh, well, probably. They don't throw me in on military, but I can't remember. At least our ship wasn't sent for it, because when we were in the battleship, it was just aged in that nation.
Right. I know, though, that sometimes she got called to help out in emergencies. We've got photos and stories from the 1950s about collisions between two other ships where she went to help put out the fires and so on. So do you remember any emergencies like that Lilac was involved in when you were on board?
This is just before I was already out of the service.
But during your time, was there do you have anything where you guys helped were sent out to help? Do you remember?
Not as direct help. We were helping, all right, but it was far off.
Right.
And I thought that was a very interesting thing about the ship as big as a destroyer. You think that, but then radar wasn't too well known, you know.
Well, and the radar that we have on the ship now was installed in 1954. You wouldn't have worked on the bridge, but did the ship have radar? Do you know when you were there?
We got radar before the war ended.
Okay.
But I'll just see.
Well, we should get back to what you were doing in the galley, maybe, because the stove didn't have a lot to it, right? It ran on kerosene, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, we had the stove while and it was heated by fluid, you know. The little box down on the side over here had blowers in it to keep the heat warm out of the oven. Baked the oven. It wasn't finished baking. But the firebox on one side. You know. And one time that thing broke down, the blower, and there was no chief petty officer there. The scout ain't me. But he got mad at me about not having breakfast ready. Well, I couldn't do anything without that stove. I was a hot number when I found I finally got him in a good humor at me.
Well, and what was the routine like? Because there must have been people eating almost all day long.
Machines?
No, routine. What was your normal routine?
Oh, well, I got that every day and stay late. But of course I had help.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the officers ate in the wardroom, and they had their own pantry and steward. So how did the food move back and forth between the galley and the pantry?
How did the food go back and forth?
The stewards.
The stewards carried it?
They carried it in the galley where I was working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the stewards.
Were you making different food for them, or were they eating the same thing as the crew?
You know, they had whatever the officer wanted.
Oh, okay.
But I had to have them carry if they wanted it. That was good. It was good. Just the time.
And what kinds of things did you make? Was there something that you had over and over, or something you especially liked to make, or they especially liked to eat?
The little thing was pretty well wiped out by the time you got to the next meal.
Yeah.
Cold cuts of different size, different flavors. It's made every day. It's not the same thing. I had to put in on the billboard the menu for 10 days ahead. And sometimes I wouldn't have what I had on that menu, but it looked good Yeah. We didn't even have it. I made veal cutlets. I made them out of pork. The veal flattened out. But I had them on the menu as veal cutlets. They didn't know the difference. It was pork.
Pretty funny.
It was pork. They thought it was veal.
So,
Anything else?
yeah. Did you, one thing, a later crew member remembered, this is from 20 years after you were there, was they would keep boiled eggs out on the table in the crew mess. Did you have things like that that were available all day long for people to drop in and have a snack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything like that?
Not for the outsiders, just for the boys.
Right, for the boys.
For the boys.
What were
Right.
some of the things?
They don't have to be cooked. You make a sandwich, you know. And I was supposed to have that where I could get to it, and they couldn't, you know. But we moved out sometime in the so I thought I would take a walk up the way, just walking around.
Yeah.
And when I come back, it's after dark, and the lights I saw, you had the blackouts all the time.
Sure.
The road. When they saw me coming, you know, I got aboard, and there was the bologna and the rinds and stuff, and not a soul inside. All the evidence was there. I could hung around the road, and pretty soon one old come in, oh, they called me that. and they fixed themselves a snack, and I said, you know, guys, you know you can eat anytime you want to, but don't leave the mess. Somebody has to clean that up. I enjoyed the guys.
What was it like in the PO quarters for you? There must have been about 12 guys sleeping down there on bunks.
The sleeping quarters?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's pretty dark, and you had to go up on deck to use a head, right?
Right. I just got a fat girl tried to make it. No, it was pretty convenient restroom from it, so
Well, what was it like down there with all those guys?
What was it like down in
Did
your
you
bunk room?
consider it comfortable?
yeah. Well, we were, you know, most of us wasn't very comfortable anyhow, but they, I guess you'd say it was comfortable. But most of the time, if you was out of the bunk, you was away from the sleeping anyway, till you make shift.
When you were down there, you had one job, right? Like if there was a problem.
Oh, like when the hole got knocked in the hull.
Yeah.
That my duty was to close the hatch when anything happened.
Ah, okay.
And when we hit those rocks that time,
Mm-hmm.
me and another guy's all was up. Everybody went I can see those wrong. This good. I was supposed to close those hatches anyhow, which I did. Closed them. I said to other guys, well, if you could get up and see what happened. He said, yeah, I guess so. Neither one of those guys.
Well, that must have been pretty exciting. Not in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when you talk about the hatch you were supposed to close, was that the watertight door that's right there in the PO quarters?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. There's a. And what did they use that space for when you were on board?
What was that now?
The space behind the hatch, that locker in the PO quarters. What were you using it for when you were there? What was that space for?
There was a space just
Behind the hatch.
behind the hatch. That hatch you had to close.
Oh,
There was a space over there, and I guess
At the stern.
what was it used for then when you were on board?
don't know. I know we kept some stores down below decks. Like groceries,
Yeah, like groceries.
like groceries and all that. That's about all we had below deck.
Well, I asked because the fellas who were on board in the 1960s said they just kept their duffel bags in there. But we have drawings that say it was a workshop at some point. So I was just curious what was back there when you were on board. Well, and you remember the big walk-in refrigerator and freezer in the galley?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. Kept everything in there.
We're
Yeah.
hoping to get those working pretty soon. We're looking for a replacement compressor. But right now we just use them for storage.
Yeah.
I think they're waiting on a replacement compressor
Oh, yeah.
to get it back up and running.
Right.
Did you have any problems with them working? Because I know in the 60s the compressors were breaking down all the time.
No, I don't know. I see like they had a minimum of upkeep, but I didn't know all of it on. But I'd say that they kept things pretty close to my board.
All right. Well, here's a little detail. The door between the galley and the crew mess is missing when we got the ship. And we're guessing there was a Dutch door there that would let you serve across into the mess. Do you remember what kind of door was there? And how did you hand the food to the crew?
You know that.
No.
When they got the ship, there a door is missing between the crew mess, and the galley.
Oh, yeah.
So you were on board. Was there actually a door there?
No door, but it was there.
There was a door.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the door was here, and the galley was here, and then over here was the ship. Right. Have you seen the structure around that?
Yes.
Yeah. I had to step over this.
The combing.
Say it again.
Yeah, there's a combing in every doorway.
On every doorway.
Yeah.
It's a little step to keep water from moving around if it gets on board. Yeah.
When I was when I was in Fort, I picked up the orange. They handed out to it. But I was in one of those walk-in boxes, and I stepped out of the galley and come back, and the little guy always slapping stuff off the galley deal. He started stepped over that what you're talking about, the above the hatch, and he raised his leg to go over that, and the oranges started flowing out from under his jacket. He'd been stealing my oranges. I said, now, Peter, last name was Beamer. So I said, he was saying some of that stuff for free. Yeah, how can you do it?
That's funny.
He run out of jelly one time,
Uh-huh.
and side thing. So, yeah, I knew he had some special assembly. How about trading you a jar of jelly? Great birthday cake.
Because he's been stealing it.
He wasn't stealing it,
Or just requisition. Yeah.
couldn't get mad at him.
Yeah. You must have a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like running out of something.
Yeah. Well, one time we run out of, this was big, I think it was potatoes. I failed to put it on the list when I got the supplies of the days when we come down to down Delaware to Cape May. I remembered I hadn't ordered that, so Cape, and then Cape May got where it was, yes, potatoes, I think.
Yeah.
So I tried Cape May to get out of it and get $3 say anything about it, you put it in there, picked up the potatoes and you know what.
So you mentioned Cape May a couple of times. Were you actually based out of Cape May during the war?
Were you based out of Cape May during the war?
Well, actually, our yard was up to Wilmington, Delaware, you know, it was right on the Delaware River. That's where our base yard was, had buoy parts and buoy themselves. And so they had buoys there on the ready. You bring them in, clean them up,
Right.
and it's your arriving system and all that to put it was on and distribute them. You know,
Because our information is that originally she was based in Edgemoor, Delaware.
yeah, Edgemoor, Delaware. Right around
And-
the little.
Okay, and after the war, the base moved to Gloucester City, New Jersey. But you remember Edgemoor?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm made on that. That's where we are. Yeah, we had
Summary.
we had an infirmary there on base,
Ah.
and that was Edgemoor, but I was sick.
Oh.
Yeah. And tell you what did happen is I was on the shore and went to church and did that. And somebody had the monk, and I thought of, and I was back on the base, and the ship was in then, and I had a little swelling in my throat and went up to the base pharmacy, and he decided I had mumps. I was 22 years old and just having the mumps.
Yeah.
I should have more, but that's what I gave him to me. The guy loaded me up in a ambulance and drove me to Philadelphia to a hospital. They put me in the mumps. A little girl about, she might have been, she's less than 4. Yeah, man. And the little black guy, the little black kid, had to be, try to console her and talking to him and everything. And so I spent my time there on Knoxville 10 days, I think. And, but just before I was dismissed, they brought in this little girl. She was being dismissed. So beautiful little girl. Touched my heart that she had. You know, and another little black guy. He didn't care anything about black or white. He wanted to help that little girl so bad. But he had some shape, you know.
Yeah.
So it was.
Since you mentioned some black people, was the whole crew white when you were on board? Were there any black people serving on the Lilac?
No, it's stewards.
The stewards,
Okay.
yeah.
But if we were short-handed, those officers don't mind eating with crew members until they get a, steward in there. And we usually had two of them. They once in a while they run short in transfers and all that kind of stuff.
Do you know where the steward slept?
You know where they slept on the steward?
No, I don't. I don't remember. I don't remember.
No one seems to know. It's a mystery.
They didn't sleep.
Maybe that's it. They weren't allowed to sleep.
Have a great smile.
Thank you. Well, I can't think of any other questions right now. Do you have anything you want to ask me?
I was wondering about that skipper, Decline. Do you have anything on records on Decline? How do you spell it?
Decline?
Decline? No, I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar. I will keep an eye out though.
Decline is, he's probably passed away. Most of it. I just happened to not guessing it lived this long, so I'm going to try to keep track. But,
That's the right answer, yeah.
okay, what else you want to tell me?
Well, one thing is if you have any photos or actually one of the first communications I had with Rob was he posted a photo of one of your photos from World War II of the ship, and I would love to see more of those if you have them.
I think there's two that I'm aware of that I haven't sent you yet.
Yeah. He's got them.
Okay.
You know how funny songs are.
Yeah.
He's got them.
Yeah, I have one where it was coming into port, and it was a side view of like taken from the ship, on the ship. You're not supposed to take pictures.
No pictures of yourself in your uniform?
Was there any? Yeah, I don't remember seeing any either.
Of course, you go home, you take a picture, right? And I had my favorite pose.
Yeah.
That's it. But militarily, you know, arriving. They broke that law on the taking pictures for the regular Monday thing.
Sure. And I'm excited to hear she was at the Philadelphia Navy Yard. I have a volunteer in Philadelphia who wants to see her come back to the Delaware. And he says next time we haul the ship, we should do it there. And now I know it'll be a return to where she once was.
It was nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you too.
Yeah.
And I know Rob has told me you'd like to pay us a visit. I would be very excited if you're able to do that. And if I can help you anyway, you just tell me.
Okay. Well, that's a nice promise. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah. I was my time pretty cheap right now anyhow.
All right. Well, we'll shut this all down. And thanks again.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.